Good morning everyone and welcome to Friday Live at OHbaby. We're here in the OHbaby office with Jessie Jarvie. Hello Jessie.
Hello.
Welcome. It's the first time we've had Jessie with us, so I'm very excited to have Jessie here. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Jessie is a lifestyle coach for OHbaby, but she does many things and she's going to tell us about that this morning. Primarily, Jessie is the founder of the Baby Bag, which is an amazing new business helping new parents and families, busy families in general, get everything sorted that they need for baby and children and life. Jessie also has had a consultancy business called Lulamere, where you help mothers transition back to the workplace.
That's
haven't
right.
you?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're thinking this morning, if you've got any questions about returning to work as a new mum or just the chaos that is life in general with children, you are welcome to ask questions for Jessie. Just comment in the section below the video and Jessie and I will chat about those questions and we'll see what happens. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Now, the excitement doesn't stop there. We've got a giveaway for you this morning, those who are watching on Friday Live this morning. Jessie has kindly donated a $100 voucher to the Baby Bag. And you can win that this morning simply by commenting. But what we want to do, because this week is actually Multiples Awareness Week, we want to say a high five to the parents of multiples out there. If you've got twins or triplets or quadruplets,
wow,
maybe there are some out there, we want to salute you and say you're amazing. We take our hat off to you and we want to give you the chance to win Jessie's $100 voucher. So if you are a parent of multiples, can you enter by simply writing your name down in the comments below. Say if you're a parent of twins or triplets, and Marianne is going to choose at random a winner of Jessie's voucher. It's so exciting. So do that now or whenever you feel like, and Marianne will keep an eye out on that. So yeah, this is us. This is Friday Live and it's so great to have you here watching and to have Jessie here. So just to start off, Jessie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? You were a corporate lawyer.
Correct.
You had a baby and you thought, how does this all work? What do I do now?
Yeah, so I was at Orion Health, a health software company in Auckland, and I went on maternity leave with my first little boy. And I was shocked and devastated at the lack of infrastructure that existed to support busy families. I knew that I had to get on with the job of being mum, and I also had to get on with my job outside of the home, but as that return date drew closer, the walls started falling down a little bit. And for me that was quite stressful. With the support of the management team at Orion Health, I worked together with a group of parents to start up Milky Way, which was an on-site daycare centre at Orion, and it was fantastic. One of the first of its kind in New Zealand, and exclusive use by Orion Health parents, which meant we had a really awesome community formed there. George was 150 metres from my desk, which meant I could go and have lunch with him between meetings. And my work through making sure that we recruited other parents to jump on board and be part of that awesome centre exposed me to the fact that I wasn't alone in this battle of trying to navigate being a working parent and not really knowing where to go for direction or support or advice. That coupled with the fact that the legal profession of which I was a part of at the time was struggling in a big way to retain women in those kind of childbearing years, and there was a huge decline of
retaining staff. That's critical.
Yeah, exactly. Retaining your talent, and there was more women coming out of law school than men, and these firms just couldn't hold on to them because, like many other professions, as I was going to discover, working in that way wasn't positively correlated with parenthood, and that was something that I wanted to change. So the centre work and the work with the profession started Lulamere, and Lulamere was designed to assist a woman through that transition from becoming a mum, which is a big enough transition in itself, to then going back to work as a mum, and making sure that she knew that she could be happy doing that.
Yes,
That she could be a successful mum and she could be a successful career person, whatever that meant to her.
Yeah.
And that it was possible. And I think being a working parent has, it's a little bit like childbirth in some ways, where often in times gone by, people haven't talked about it. And I think that's because for returning to work, there's often feelings of guilt associated with that.
Yeah, for sure.
So many people are going through it. 73% of parents with dependents, children under 3, are employed in some way, shape or form. But there's not a lot of discussion about it.
No.
So that was the beginning of it, was talking about it, and then pulling together a database as we had more and more women move through the program of the shortcuts, the things that helped, the things that didn't work, the things that worked.
Shortcut. I love shortcuts.
Exactly. Yeah. So do I. So that was where it was born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if people come and asked you for help with? What are some of the tricky spots that parents
probably
discover?
Exactly. There's probably 2 that come to mind as being the most common ones. The first one is childcare. Yeah. And luckily for us, there's been a massive improvement in the quality of childcare services available in New Zealand, and the variety of services in New Zealand even over the short period that Lulamere's been alive, which is about 3 years now. Yeah. And that's, as I guess, in response to the agitating for change in the professional world, where people are wanting to work when they have young children outside of the home, as well as their work as a parent. So that's probably the first thing, and we spend a lot of time helping parents with that. The second thing is time, and it's that elusive concept that...
Have you figured out how to make more time?
No, and I can't sell time, unfortunately. So none of us, none of us can create more time than what we're given. Yeah. But there are ways to spend that time. Yes. And one of the things that I guess that was where our second support service was born, which is the baby bag. Yeah. Baby supplies are such a high frequency item. Yes. They're unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to need and when you're going to need it. Baby can be eating one thing this week and decide not to next week, or you can go through doubly as many nappies because maybe there's a food that their little tummy's not digesting so well, or they need cough syrup. Or that was somewhere where we felt like there was a real lack of support for parents. So we designed a service that would get people's baby supplies to them at good prices, so good products, good prices on a really good service. Yeah. And that's had a real positive response. And I think that the best part of that for me is that Lulamere can only go so far because it's unfortunately dependent on my time and how many people I can fit into the day. But for the baby bag, we're able to reach so many busy families, and not just parents that are working outside the home, but parents of multiples, parents that are stay-at-home parents. For any parent,
getting
time
out
is valuable.
And shopping is really challenging.
It's a challenge. And I think the thing about parenting is every parent has such little flexibility in their daily routine. Yeah. So things like needing to duck out, grab this, they're not easy things to do. And it was surprising for us as a family that there wasn't something like that. All of these awesome services like My Food Bag and foodbox.co.nz, but nothing to bring people baby supplies quickly. Yes. So that's where the baby bag came from, and that's hopefully something that's helping these busy families a little bit.
Someone has commented, baby bags are a brilliant idea.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind.
They are a brilliant idea. So how does it work? People can go online and order what they need for the week or month?
So it's typically weekly. Our customers find weekly is best because of that high frequency and variety in what their baby might be requiring. Yeah. So the way that it works is there's 4 categories of product. There's food, formula, nappies and pharmacy. And you go on, curate your bag as you want it, and then it's delivered on a same-day service. Yes. So that's for our Auckland customers. For example, Auckland customers today that order before midday, their baby bag's on their doorstep in the afternoon.
No way.
Yes way.
Order before midday and it's delivered in the afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, so we have all of our drivers for different regions coming into the warehouse and picking up and then taking out, and our drivers are trained not to knock too loudly in case there's a sleeping baby. Leaving food on the doorstep. We sell a lot of frozen food as Little Angels and Tots Pantry. They're 2 of our customers' favourite products, and they're all packaged up with ice so that if you're not home, if you're at work or if you're out at kindy or doing something with the kids, then we can just pop it on the doorstep for you and it's there when you get home. One less stop off to have to think about. And
I just had a great idea. You could order one for a friend, couldn't you? Like
absolutely.
For a new mum gift or a...
and we get lots of vouchers, which is what we're giving away today.
We are.
Yeah, that's
good segue, Jessie. We're giving away a $100 voucher from Jessie today. So all you need to do is comment below if you are a parent of multiples, because we are saluting multiples, parents of multiples this week. It's Multiples Awareness Week, and they're amazing. My goodness, that is amazing.
Absolutely amazing. So I can't wait to give that to somebody
to a New Zealander, we would love to do that this morning.
Yes.
So what else? There's some tricky parts of the day when you're a parent of young children, and I know you've got some great tips about this because we've included some of these in an article before.
Yes, that's right.
So you've got the morning rush, the panic stations,
and the witching hours.
And the witching hours at the end of the day. What are some tips? What have you kind of figured out that works for your family? Smoothing out those tricky times a day.
Each of our transition manuals comes with a massive, I guess it's a database again of tricks and tips that I've obviously input to myself from my own experiences, but that a whole lot of other mums have input into as well. And there's definitely kind of a handful of those that people will make an effort to email me about and say, I'm so glad that I read that. That saved my life. It's been wonderful.
So good. You need to know those golden bits of wisdom.
Yeah, so there's 4 of those in my mind. The first one, and it's my own personal mantra as well, is cook once, eat twice.
Oh, that's good.
And
cook once, eat twice.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be...
So making something big enough to do
that you
2
can
nights.
put half of it in the freezer. You don't have to eat it twice in a row.
No.
But just having another option, in the freezer, absolutely. Cook once, eat twice.
So good. I'm going to write that down.
Yes, do. And it's funny because seeing the ways that different people interpret those tips as well. There's different ways to use that because a part of the service is that everyone's family and everyone's personal situation is so different. And we can't give the same advice to everybody and expect it to work. No. So you take what you can from the bits
what works for you. Yeah,
exactly. The second thing is every once in a while be prepared to throw the rules out the window.
Good.
And don't beat yourself up about that. We all have bad days and that's actually not a bad thing. And with children, if you're having a bad day and they're having a bad day, sometimes you just have to let go of the rules and the routine to get through to the next day, because the sun will rise again in the morning. All know it will, and sometimes it's easier to just move through the motions as best you can, as quickly as you can, get them to sleep if that's what they need, maybe have a little bit of time to yourself or log on again to do some work, which lots of our parents end up doing, and then get up the next day and start
again.
Do
you have some tricks that your fallbacks when it is turning to custard?
Yes, absolutely.
I have movies.
Yes.
Kids, you want to watch a movie?
Yes, we do have Toy Story, which is George's current favourite. There's also that cook once, eat twice also kind of leads into another tip, which is to always have a backup option for food for the kids.
Good idea.
Food for yourself, I think, and maybe that's not such a good thing, but we tend to be less discerning because we can kind of eat toast and we can cope if we have to. Exactly, but we're always concerned about the nutrition of our kids, and we know how important it is and how it affects their behaviour. So those products I was talking about before, Little Angels or Tots Pantry, doesn't have to be products that you buy. Those are things we have at the Baby Bag for the reason that lots of parents find them useful as backup, freezer backups.
You've got them in the freezer.
Yes,
you know that something's there.
Exactly, but you could split that cook once, eat twice. If you've got some spag bowl in the freezer, you just need something so that if you're having one of those days, because you can never predict those days, if you're having one of those days when everything is just falling to pieces, you need something quick, you know, and maybe you'd I don't know, you might have planned homemade fish and chips if you're more gourmet than I am, but some days that's just not going to work, and you've got to fall back on that option that you've got hidden in the wings.
That's so good.
Yes.
So do you, we're talking with Jessie Jarvie this morning on Friday Live. She's a lifestyle coach. She knows lots about making life work for parents of young children, especially around the transition of going back to work. But also, I think your tips are great just for parents in general, because parenting young children can be chaotic, and we all need some tips. You had a great tip once about having a supply cupboard or an area where the child has access to when you're busy in the kitchen, and they know that it's there. In the kitchen, maybe even if you've got space available, they've got some projects they can get out.
Definitely.
Drawing, or
ours is just next to the kitchen, and I think it's a great place to have it, because typically when you need a little bit of time, it will be something to do with food. If you're at that other end of the day, either you're trying to put together a meal for yourself, or you're trying to put together meals for the kids, and we call ours the craft cupboard. And every once in a while, I just try and top it up with It might be new and exciting. Might even be like leftover things from work, that I think the kids are going to find interesting, or I might see something when I'm out and about that I'll grab and think, oh, I'll pop that in the cupboard, and it's just activities for them that gives me, on a good day, it'll only give me 20 minutes, but that's
Sure.
all I need.
That's all you need sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on a bad day, it might only give me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But again, that's 5 minutes I didn't have before.
Yeah.
It's a distraction tool. And I think with children, that's an important part of learning to get by during those two difficult periods that we're talking about.
Sure.
The morning and the evening. Distraction, comfort and distraction are the two tools
Yeah.
that we talk to our parents about. Comforting them with routine.
Yeah.
And then distracting them when that doesn't work.
Yes.
And that's often a handy kind of little mantra to have up your sleeve to remind you of if things are falling to custard, those are good philosophies to fall back on. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
We just had a question from Sari about the baby bag. Do you deliver rurally?
We do, yes, we deliver rurally.
So anywhere in New Zealand now you can get that service
same day
delivered?
service is Auckland, overnight service is the rest of the country.
Oh,
and
amazing.
the rural deliveries, Anna, our wonderful operations manager for whom we would never be without, she tracks all of our rural deliveries very closely so that if there's ever any hiccups or hold-ups, we can contact the parent straight away, let them know where the parcel's at, what time it's going to be delivered.
Yeah.
Because our rural customers, they need support too. So we do our best to meet those needs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So remember, if you've got a question for Jessie about anything to do with juggling busy family life, just comment underneath the video there and we can chat about that. I've got a question, and it's tricky for a lot of mums who are wanting to breastfeed and continue breastfeeding into their return to work. What's your advice for that? I mean, pumping, it sounds good in theory, but how does it actually work?
Yeah. So we have a fact sheet that we give to parents that are feeding when they return to work, and the purpose of that fact sheet is to let them know that it is definitely possible, and we have so many mums doing it, but there are things that you need to know. And the things that you need to know, I guess the way that our fact sheets work is with this database of women that we have, we're trying to create a bit of a support network.
Sure.
So that fact sheet is updated monthly now, because we find that some of the advice, I think because over the last 20 years or so, the workplace has changed so dramatically in New Zealand, and we see such a big shift towards parents returning to work with younger children, that the advice is really only just becoming apparent. So as that advice becomes apparent, and as people are learning ways to express successfully whilst they're working, we want our information to be cutting edge too. So our fact sheet at the moment's got 5 facts on it. The first one, which has always been there, is to express in advance. And that one's obvious. It's a good idea to start expressing. I always say 2 weeks before you return. That's kind of the minimum. Sometimes I would recommend 3-4 weeks. A, to make sure you have a really good supply in the freezer, and B, to make sure that you know how it goes. And that as you're wrapping your head around trying to be a working parent, you don't have to try and also work out how to express. It's good to know before you go. So that's the first tip. The second one is to find your rhythm and to keep it regular. Now, when you're expressing in advance of returning to work, existing breastfeeding mums find it easiest and less disruptive to express at night. That's kind of the consensus. However, that's not always the case. Some women have ample supply in the morning, and that's okay too. Do whatever works for you when you have the most supply. If you are intending on continuing to exclusively breastfeed, it's best to express at the times that you're feeding, so that on those non-working or weekend days, there's an easy transition back and forth, because I know that can sometimes be a bit stressful too. I always say, and this is just my opinion, that expressing twice a day at work, say if you're working a regular working day of 8 hours, expressing twice a day at work is realistic in my opinion. More than that is quite challenging. And I've certainly got clients that do more than that, and that's probably more due to their supply or maybe multiple parents with multiple babies. But I think more than twice a day, you have to remember, and this leads me into the next tip, that it's quite exhausting. So have some treats that you take with you wherever you're going to express.
Breastfeeding
muesli
snacks
bars
available.
Or snacks, exactly. Katie's cookies, which we have, a drink because it's dehydrating. You're working, you're parenting, and you're expressing, and it's tiring.
Full on,
and people just need to have an appreciation of how tiring feeding can be. And so they need to make sure they support their bodies with that as well.
Absolutely,
So that's the other thing, and then make a time and place. This is one that's just been added to the fact sheet. So your employer actually has an obligation.
They have to provide you somewhere to express.
Exactly, somewhere comfortable to express.
That's great.
And at Orion, we set up a feeding room, which was awesome, and we actually ended up getting a little fridge into the room so people could store their milk there, because of course you don't really want to be going and putting your milk in the communal staff fridge. No. Someone might end up putting it in the cup of tea. Or exactly.
Clearly label that breast milk.
Exactly. So you have the right to that space.
Which is good to know. And do you find that a lot of parents don't know
They don't
their
know,
rights
and
in
they
this
also
regard.
don't want to ask
Yeah.
because they feel a little bit uncomfortable about it. I guess some workplace environments, maybe they just don't feel like their boss is a particularly approachable person, or so it's important
And
to know that
employers might not have had that situation
exactly,
before. Like,
exactly. It might be new to them.
I need somewhere to express.
That's right. That's
that
right.
Could be quite new.
You actually to express well, you need to be relaxed.
Yeah.
So if
That's
you're
so
expressing
true.
sitting on top of a closed toilet somewhere, you're not going to be relaxed.
No.
Therefore, you're not going to be able to pull as much milk. You know? So it's important that you have a space that makes you feel comfortable.
So good.
And then the last tip is to be prepared, and that's more relating to the things that can help you. They're not necessities, but just having a little freezer bag to store the milk in, storage bags, a pump if it's within your budget, because that can make a big difference in terms of efficiencies of expressing, and a spare shirt. Now I had the
spare shirt. That's a good tip.
I had the unfortunate experience. I wasn't abiding by that earlier tip, which was to schedule your expressing times and block them out in your diary so that people don't go and put meetings in place of when you're supposed to be expressing.
Sorry, I'm expressing.
Exactly.
No
and
meeting.
I sat inside a meeting with it might have been 6 or 7 other people, and I felt something dripping on my toe. And I thought, what? And of course it was milk, because I needed to express, and I hadn't left the room early enough. So luckily, a lovely colleague of mine, Hannah, lent me her cardigan because my shirt was a mess, and from then onward, I took a spare shirt to work.
Spare shirt.
Yes.
People.
Yep. So
Good advice.
Keep something there just in case, because we all have those incidences too. So.
Yeah. And so if people are listening right now and they're interested in how they can get more of your advice or talk to you more directly, they can go to your Facebook page?
Absolutely, yeah. They can go to our Facebook page, or they can always just email me. I'm very, very passionate about this work. I feel like I get a real kick from helping parents in this stage of their life after having experienced a bit of difficulty there myself. So email me, just email me questions and we can talk, and sometimes it might take me a little while to respond to you, but I will.
Jessie is a busy lady. But
so please do, please.
And you can also ask Jessie a question on the OHbaby page, of course.
Exactly,
OHbaby,
that's true.
Ask Our Experts, because Jessie is on our team of experts, and more than happy to answer your questions just about making life work a bit better, a bit more efficiently, a bit more smoothly,
absolutely.
just calming some of those trouble spots.
Yes, definitely.
Personally, what have you experienced when going back to work when you've got 2 small children?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
What have been some of the tricky parts for you, do you think?
Oh gosh, there's lots, isn't there? Let me, if you don't mind, flip that question on its head a little bit, because I think the natural thing to do is to focus on the barriers to returning to work and the things that make it difficult. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of them. However, often we don't focus on the enablers, the things that let us do it, and the things that make it easier for us. And let's say
celebrate those things.
The what we were talking about before, the improvement in quality childcare options in New Zealand has been phenomenal over the last 2 decades and over the last 3 years in particular. Technology like smartphones and round-the-clock email access. Now, they get a bad rap in parenting commentary, but the reality is for many parents, and I'm certainly one of those, I couldn't do the things that I do.
Us do what we do.
Exactly. And I know that many of our mums, they couldn't walk away from their desk at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, sometimes 4 o'clock, if they didn't have the ability to continue, to split shift, which is to continue to work later in the evening if they have to. Now, that obviously has limitations. You've got to put yourself...
And have you devised some strategies for putting protection around your family time?
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm a big, big fan in my personal life of simplicity parenting. And that is, the research supports now that's not only good for children, but it's good for parents. It's focusing on the art of play. It's not over-scheduling, which often we get tempted to do, I think, to counteract the fact that we're so busy. We often think, oh, well, I need to spend some good quality time on the kids, so let's book them into swimming.
So I'll organise this.
And some of those things, of course, are fantastic. But it's also important to have downtime with your children, to enjoy their company. Exactly. And that, for me, I think as a working mum, that was the hardest thing for me to grab hold of and to learn, was that, in fact, there didn't need to be activities all the time. I just needed to sit down and spend time with the boys, and they would thrive on that. And it's good for them to be bored sometimes, because they get creative and they get imaginative, and they, you know, they don't need hundreds and hundreds of toys, or it's the support of the parent or the caregiver, and their siblings and time often at home that they really drive in that.
Crave, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, but the other thing I should mention, which I guess is a little bit of an antithesis, but something that is equally as important, is me time.
Yeah.
And I think
that elusive
me time.
Yeah.
It's just like the time concept we were talking about. I think for stay-at-home parents in particular, that's a huge challenge.
It is,
and that's, I guess, probably a benefit in some ways that working parents often have, is a little bit more alone time. And that's not to say they're sitting there painting the nails, but exactly. And the commute's a good one, because I used to, when I first had George and I was at home with him, I sometimes on bad days used to get a little bit envious of my husband's 45-minute commute to work.
Yeah.
And he would be like, "Are you crazy?" Like, and I'd think,
know.
"You're sitting in the car by yourself.
Yes.
There's no one who needs you.
You can listen to whatever you like on the radio.
Exactly. No one's asking anything from you. That sounds like a trip to the Maldives. Like, it sounds amazing."
Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah. So I think for stay-at-home parents especially, that one's so crucial.
Yeah.
Because that enables you to be a better parent. It does. To have that headspace. It doesn't have to be often. It doesn't even have to be a lot. And it doesn't, to be honest, it doesn't have to be anything, you know, where you're doing anything too lavish. Just a walk by yourself.
Some space.
Sitting in the spare room with a book. It's just finding time where you're only thinking about you. And to be honest, you probably will still think about the kids, but where you've got the luxury, if you want to, of thinking about you only.
Yes, and we definitely need to fuel that tank to parent.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. We're running out of time, but we do have a question from Lisa, and we'll just talk a little bit about it. Lisa's due to go back to work soon, but we'll have a 6:30 a.m. start.
Wow.
Baby now going through an awake period between 3 and 4. Oh, not just for food, but just a babble.
Yeah. Or just some comfort.
Just for some comfort. They're in their
Yeah.
own room, but not sure why he wakes. Do you recommend trying to change his routine to accommodate going back to work? This is a good question, because if you've got a 6:30 start, you may not see your children in the morning, but if they're awake, do you change up the routine so that you can...
When did Lisa say when she returns? Was it
soon?
Yeah. Okay, so depending on how soon it is, Lisa, I always try to tell, and obviously it differs for every parent, but I always try to tell our mums, if their situation's one that sounds similar to yours, not to change that routine 6 weeks before return.
No.
So the reason for that is, you know what it's like. You change the routine and 10 other things change.
Yes.
It's that butterfly effect.
Yeah.
And you need to, in fact, you've probably settled quite well, although your routine sounds difficult with that wake-up call.
Yeah.
You've probably settled quite well into that routine if it's been going for some while.
Yeah.
So going back to work, it's going to be challenging. Nothing good in life doesn't come without a challenge.
That's right. Yeah.
But you will get through it.
Yeah.
And if you're close to returning, I wouldn't change it, and I would hope that with your baby progressing through his ages and stages, naturally that sleep will start to improve.
Yeah.
But if you're still 6 weeks or more out, give it a go. Yeah, absolutely. Give it a go, altering that routine and starting to work towards the transition back into the workplace.
Yeah.
Small changes and only one at a time.
One at a time, yeah.
Because too many changes at once, I mean, as we've discussed, children thrive on routine. And if you change that routine, sometimes it's the best thing, but it will take them a while to adjust to that. And you don't want to have to be adjusting to too many things as you're trying to save face in the office, which is sometimes a challenge. So
Lisa brings up another point as well. Any tips for helping her with the inevitable exhaustion of having that early start on her working day and then coming home, family life? You must find this a lot with women returning to work.
Yeah, and it's
so tiring.
It's the one thing, isn't it, that I can't give people energy,
No,
and I so wish that I could, and sometimes I need it myself too. Yeah, exactly. But it's such a battle, and do you know what? It's something that people without children in the office, they will never quite understand how exhausted you are.
Yeah.
And it's something that you sign up to when you do this working parent thing. And to be honest, when you do the parenting thing, you know, I've got
so true.
In my own experience staying at home for a while, and in friends' experiences staying at home, you're just as exhausted, if not more exhausted. It's that horrible thing that they deprive us of our sleep.
Yeah.
And they're meant to. It's biological for them. So tips in coping with that exhaustion is learning to say no.
Yeah,
so you
so good.
will find that your social life, your social life reduces a little bit as a parent anyway, I think.
Just a little.
But you will find that it reduces more. And if there's work social things, often you think, oh, I need to be going to
Yeah.
that, so that people think that although I'm, a mum, I can still be part of the workplace. You don't need to go.
No.
You don't need to go. It's not going to make any difference to the work that you're doing.
No, that's true.
You might decide, okay, let's say, for example, if your work does something social like a lunch or an after-work drink, say once a week, you might decide that in your family you're going to try and go once a month.
Yes.
And that's it.
Good idea.
And
Yeah.
have the confidence and the strength to know that when you're saying no,
Yeah.
you're doing that in the best interest of your family.
Yeah.
And you're more than entitled to put your family first.
That's right, yeah.
And I think, again, that was a learning curve for me, because I was in an environment when I had my first baby I felt like I had to keep up.
Yeah.
I really felt like I had to keep up with everybody, and not many other people in my team or in my near kind of the people sitting around me had children.
Yeah.
So for me that was difficult,
Yeah.
because I was considering something that they didn't quite understand yet.
Yeah.
But you need to have confidence in your own decisions and make sure that when you feel exhausted and when you feel tired, say no. Take
say
some
no.
time out.
So
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
So good. Oh, Jessie, we could talk all day about this stuff. It is gold.
I could too, which I'm sure
Gold
you
for
can
new
tell.
parents. So we'll have to get you back.
Yes, that would be lovely.
To Friday Live.
That
And
would be
remember, if you
lovely.
want to chat to Jessie, you can email her. We'll put a link up in the comments. I think there's already a link to the baby bag in the comments. And the other thing is, you can always ask her a question at Ask Our Experts on
Yes.
the OHbaby page.
Yes,
so
that would be great.
obaby.co.nz
I would love
/
that.
Ask Our Experts.
Awesome.
Now, next week we've got Dorothy Wade coming back, and we wanted to tell you all out there that we've got one last coffee catch-up, and it's going to be at Howick on Monday in Auckland, and it is free. We've got 20
fantastic.
places left, apparently. So if you want to come and join us for our coffee catch-up, the finale, the grand finale of coffee catch-ups, please go to the OHbaby website, and Dorothy is amazing. You can hear from her. We've got lots of free giveaways and stuff. So go to the OHbaby website and search coffee catch-up and sign yourself up for that. And we have a winner, because Marianne is so amazing and efficient. We have a winner of Jessie's $100 voucher from the baby bag that she's kindly donated, and the winner is Melinda Darkin.
Congratulations,
Melinda.
That's
So
fantastic.
we'll get in touch with you, Melinda, and get your details so we can send that out to you.
Lovely.
Thanks, Jessie,
Thank
for
you
donating
so
that,
much
and
for
thank
having
you for
me.
your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having
So
me.
good to chat about these important things, and so we'll be back again next week for Friday Live. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.